Hey everybody, this is Toby Eunice with the Gypsy Kiss. Stick with me a couple of seconds and we'll talk about Forrest Fenn, the cricket player. Yeah, really, the cricket player. So in order to get this particular video done, I'm going to have to play 3 clips for you. The first clip is from the May 2011 interview of Forrest Fenn by Lorraine Mills. The second clip is the November 2019 interview of Forrest Fenn by Christy, Mike, and Cynthia. And the third is my Driving with Toby commentary on those 2 clips. All right. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 3 videos and then we'll take it from there. I'll have to take a break in between so I can reset it up, okay? So here's the first of the 3 videos. This is Lorraine from the Lorraine Mills interview of Forrest Fenn in May 2011, and we're dealing with a question about how will he know if the treasure is found. Ready? Here we go. I lost my cursor here. There we go.
Found, he hasn't told me.
Well, that's what I want to know. How will we know if somebody finds it? Will you make an announcement?
Depends on the person. The person that finds it may not want the IRS to know it.
Oh, that's true.
In which case, I'll never know it, probably.
Finders, keepers, yeah.
The kind of person that would go out and find it is the same kind of person that can't keep it quiet.
Yeah.
He's like me, he's got to broadcast it.
Now, does anyone else besides you know where this is?
Nobody.
Because you had said one of your lines from the book is that 2 people can keep us.
So, first one, she asks him, how will you know I found the treasure? Basically responds, if the guy doesn't tell me, I don't know. So let's go over to the second clip, and this is the response he gave when asked pretty much the same question by Christy in the interview in November 2019.
Well, one thing you do on a pretty consistent basis is confirm whether the treasure is still out there. We won't have that confirmation, it seems.
There are some problems that come with this treasure hunt.
Okay.
No, that's not true. There's a way to know, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
What is the one thing all searchers are missing? You said there's one thing.
So, same question, very different answer. There's a way to know, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. If it is what it is, if the what it is what he said at Moby Dickens in 2013, that he put a favorite bracelet, the infamous silver and turquoise bracelet, in the chest, and he was hoping that the finder would return it, and indicated that would be the way he would know that the treasure has been recovered. That's actually kind of 3 different answers. So the bottom line is there's a great deal of difference between the Forrest Fenn of 2011 and the Forrest Fenn of 2019, other than, an 8.5 years worth of aging. And I'm not criticizing any of that. So let me play my thoughts on the matter. And my thoughts on the matter come from my drive today. I'm going to apologize for my appearance. I've been out in the field all up until just a few minutes ago. So, okay. So here are my thoughts on the matter. And then we'll finish up the video and you guys can think about all this. Hey, Search brothers and sisters, this is Toby Eunice with Gypsy Kiss. It's another little Driving with Toby video. So by now, in this premiere, you should have seen the 2 clips that I presented earlier. The clip from the Lorraine Mills interview in 2011, May of 2011, and then the clip from the Christie interview in November 2019. In both clips, Fenn answers the question, how will you know if the treasure will be found? Variations thereof. In the first clip in May 2011, he's got a couple of thousand people looking for the treasure. He's very unguarded, very vulnerable. And he answers it in a very straightforward way. He says, I won't, effectively. By 2019, he's got from perhaps tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people looking for this treasure. He's done dozens, if not hundreds, of interviews, and he's gotten less vulnerable and more defensive, more guarded about his answers. But this answer really took the cake in a couple of respects. In the first, like I said, he answers it very quickly. He said he'd never know. In the second, he never quite answers the question, and then muddies the waters, if you will, additionally by saying, well, there was a way, but he didn't want to share that information. The reality is I've gone with the former, and I think it was substantiated in 2013 when he started talking about the turquoise bracelet, the silver and turquoise bracelet, in the treasure chest and how he would like that returned. And the conclusion I came to at that point was that the return of the bracelet was necessary since that would be the only way that he would know that the treasure had been recovered. So I've gone with that. And then of course I saw the clip in 2019. And I wondered what, aside from the fact that by 2019 he's more guarded, more defensive, he's done many of these interviews where he doesn't want to give away any information, and he still doesn't want to give away any information, any additional information. I thought there were two distinct differences, or two conclusions that I've come to as a result. And I'm going to tell the first by way of a metaphor. I don't know how many of you know about the game of cricket, British-inspired game, but played all over the world as a result of British colonization. And it's a little bit like baseball, but different in a lot of respects. And the first is that the pitcher has a different responsibility. The pitcher in American baseball tries to get the ball over the plate or not for either strikes or balls. The batter is responsible for striking the ball ideally as hard as they can and as far as they can in order to score runs, to run the bases, score runs. In cricket, it's a different responsibility. The pitcher, and I'm not sure exactly what their correct names are, if they are named pitchers, but in cricket, the responsibility of the pitcher is to knock down some sticks that are behind the batter, and those sticks are called wickets. And the pitcher, after having knocked down three of the wickets that are behind the batter, retires the batter. The batter, on the other hand, is not responsible for striking the ball as hard as possibly could, because there are no fences. There's no way to get a home run in cricket. Is responsible for protecting the wickets. And that's their job. Yes, they hit the ball and they do a little running back and forth between the pitcher's mound, if I remember correctly, or the pitcher's spot and the batter's box, or whatever they call it. But their job is to protect those wickets, to get as many balls thrown at them while preventing the wickets from being knocked down. And by way of metaphor, that's kind of where I think Forrest is in all this. I think he's come to the conclusion that his responsibility is to protect the integrity of the poem, and I offer as an example a video that Shelley and I made several years ago, where I questioned the need for the poem, and I suggested that the next time I would go out, that I would go to my warm water salt, and from that point forward I would ignore the poem and just look for the treasure. And I heard from mutual friends soon after that, friends of Forrest's and friends of mine, that upset him. It bothered him that I would say that I would question the integrity of the poem, one that he had spent 15 years writing and perfecting, and one that I would announce on my channel, knowing that other viewers might make the same decision, and it really did upset him. But I think it gets back to that idea that his job now is to protect the integrity of the poem, to make sure it holds together and that it never falls apart. And the more often I hear him respond to almost any question, whether the treasure has been found or not, it's all about protecting the poem. And I think that's why his answers to the questions are getting progressively longer. The second thing that I concluded about this is that Forrest Fenn, so we always imagine that Forrest Fenn wrote this poem for anybody who is interested in searching for the treasure, and that ultimately we would have to be a little bit like Forrest Fenn in order to understand that. I've actually changed my view on that. I think that Forrest Fenn wrote this poem for Forrest Fenn. And then if you're not Forrest Fenn, you're going to have a heck of a time finding this treasure. And the longer we go, the less we get to see him, because after he passes, we're not going to have anything to work with in terms of understanding Forrest Fenn except the videos that are out there. So I'm going to strongly recommend, number one, that you continue to view all the videos that have been recorded about Forrest Fenn, and that you continue to analyze them to give you clues, not to the treasure, because I think that's what we focus on, but to give you clues that provide you information and intelligence about Forrest Fenn. Because the closer you can be to being Forrest Fenn, that sounds like a movie, doesn't it? The closer you can be to being Forrest Fenn, I believe the more likely it is that you're going to understand the poem and recover the treasure. Be the Fenn, brothers and sisters. Thanks for listening. There we go. So, two conclusions. Number one, Forrest Fenn sees his responsibility nowadays as defending the integrity of the poem. And number two, Forrest Fenn wrote the poem for Forrest Fenn. And so the recommendations are, if you expect ever to find that treasure, you have to get around all those defenses, probably by looking at as many of Forrest Fenn videos as you can, so that you can understand him. I think to a lesser extent you can read the books, but I think that visual component is really important in understanding Forrest Fenn, as we discovered from our conversation with Tracy Brown last week. And then the second recommendation is he wrote it for himself. So in order to make any sense of all of this, you're going to have to be as much like him as possible. And I don't mean you're going to have to fit into his skin. What I mean is you're going to have to understand him. You're going to have to know what he thinks, how he thinks, and how he converts rational things, long-lived landmarks into metaphors. And that's what it's going to take to solve this. Okay? Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Make some comments below. Tell me what you think.